Hello, good morning everyone. So I have lotion on my finger all ready because I was in the midst of getting ready and I thought that this would be a fun video to shoot this morning. So it is like 7 or 8 a.m. On Wednesday, January. Where's my phone? I'm disoriented. I don't know where it is. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what day it is, to be honest, but it is a Wednesday morning. I thought that this would be a fun video to kind of start doing on my channel, which is like a get ready with me. Today, I don't have much going on, so I'm just gonna start getting ready while I talk because I don't have unlimited time here. But I thought it'd be fun to do a get ready with me. I look crazy. A get ready with me where I just talk about a topic that I'm interested in talking about and you guys watch me get ready. This is not a groundbreaking idea. I watch a lot of these. They're one of my favorite things to watch, so that's how I came up with the idea. So let's get into it, I guess. So this morning, like I said, I'm going to be going on a pretty I'm going to have a pretty normal and casual day. I have already washed my face and now I toned it. Now I'm just putting my lotion on. I already have contacts in as well. I do that as my first step before I put anything else on. The lotion I use is the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream, and I got the Rosemary Mint scent. I almost called it Flavor, which is not accurate. So yeah, today as my topic of discussion, I wanted to talk about post-grad life, just because I don't see many people talk about it in the way that I feel it should be talked about. So foundation, I'm going to go in with the NARS Sheer Glow. Yeah, so post-grad life it's difficult, and I haven't heard many people really discuss it in the way that I have experienced it. So I don't know if that's because people are always, wanting everything to seem like it's going so well, or what the reasoning behind that is, but I just want to kind of put it out there what my experience has been like in case anyone else is having a similar experience or knows someone that is, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I have had a really difficult time post-grad. So, like I've said before, I graduated in May 2019. So, I've been out of school for about, what is that, 10 months? Is that 10 months? 8, 9? No, May. It's like 8 or 9 months, I think, yeah. So, I've been out of school. And my situation's a little bit different than other people's situations just because I chose to wait around. So not like wait around. I did move after college, moved back to Houston. I have a job, all of that, but I in a way never settled fully after school because I was waiting for my fiance to graduate. He graduated in December, so last month. And so now that waiting is over, which is awesome. I'm so excited and so happy about. But yeah, so that in that sense, I think that's why my experience was a little bit difficult. But I'm sure that's a pretty common thing that happens is people, you have a relationship or maybe you don't get a job and you end up moving home after school or you're not sure what your next steps are. I have some friends that are trying to decide if they want to go to grad school or basically what direction they want to go. And so they moved home and just got a part-time job somewhere and they're trying to figure it out, But that's all that we can do for ourselves is try to figure it out, kind of go with the flow of life. But yeah, so I guess I'll just talk about my situation and then just things that I've learned over those 8 or 9 months of being a college graduate. So I think one of the most difficult things for me was feeling as though I had progressed so much as a person over my time at school. Over the last 4 years, I had grown a lot. I had matured a lot. I had experienced a lot. And so I felt like I was very much so progressing, you know, like I was on a path that I was really proud of. And with some of the experiences I got to have at school, I felt on top of the world. Like it was a high for sure. I know I've touched on that a little bit in my first video, but I had such a wonderful college experience that I knew that adjusting to life after college, I'm not going to say like, oh, I peaked in college, because that's not what we're going for here, but it's definitely going to be hard to beat. Just the experience. I'll make sure that I do beat that experience, of course, but just like so you guys can kind of gauge where I'm at mentally on all of that. It was such a wonderful experience. I could not have imagined a better one for myself, and for like what I wanted to do and my goals, because to a lot of people I probably like they would not consider my college experience ideal, because I don't drink, I don't party, none of that. So on that front, like I was not the most social butterfly in college by any means, but I had a wonderful, wonderful time and achieved everything I wanted to achieve. So anywho, what I'm trying to say is, I think going from such a high to the real world and having so many lows at once and so many changes is really difficult, especially for my situation, or at least I found it to be difficult. I found it to be really difficult, actually. So basically I graduated, I moved home, and have been here since. So it was just a lot of adjustments. It also, like I was saying before I got sidetracked, is that it was a lot of like, I felt like I had gone so far and grown so much, and then to come back here and like it felt like, I mean, it was wonderful in the sense that nothing had changed. Like all of the people that I was friends with from here, that are still here, like we hung out just like old times. Like my family has accepted me back just like if I had never left. Like, and that's, everything is awesome, you know, like that is so wonderful in so many ways that I can have a place like that, you know, I do get to come back to, and it feels like it's always been the exact same. But in that same sense, I felt a lot of the time like, you know, I had never left and, you know, like I hadn't gone off and like done all those things and felt all those different ways than when I was here. So I think a lot of that goes from, I had a very tough high school experience, not because of like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I basically was very sick in high school, and that's a whole other topic of video I could get into, but I had a lot of things that were really difficult. I had a lot of friend issues in high school. It's not somewhere that I would go back. It's not a point in my life I would go back to. I love my friends and family here that I do have, especially my family. So it's just like a, you know, it's a catch-22, or I don't know if that's the right reference really. It's one of those things that I like, there's things I love and there's things that I hate about it at the same time. Like I love that I got this time with my family one last time before I'm actually moving this Saturday. So moving off on my own and becoming like an adult. So yeah, I think all of that was difficult. Like, and also the career choice I had made was, oh, the powder. The career choice I had made was difficult for me. Being a realtor, definitely something for me that I want to do, not totally full time as like my sole thing. And I, you know, took me a couple months on the job to kind of realize that, but I was, you know, I started out at one brokerage and they took advantage of young people. Had a couple of scary moments with people trying to lure me into houses, just stuff like that, where it just kind of put me off from it a bit. So I took a break from real estate for a few months, went and got a full-time job in my degree, and I've been doing that ever since. So that's kind of, it's been pretty turbulent, I'm not going to lie. Like, things have definitely not been picture perfect. I've been very unhappy a lot of the time, to be honest. Just, yeah, a lot of the time I have been unhappy. And a lot of that is, you know, on me for my career choice and for, I don't know, it's like whatever you want to think. A lot of it is on me. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Basically, a lot of it could have been different for me. A lot of it could have changed, but it didn't. So I just kind of have to roll with that. So yes, post-grad life is difficult. It's a big adjustment. You know, your schedule is changing a ton. So not just in my case, but in anyone's case, you go from having, you know, so many things a week, 1 to 2 classes a day. Some days you have 0 classes. You're only used to being like on for a couple of hours a day. Then you go to the real world where you're literally expected to be on for like over 12 hours a day. Like, no joke. My job, I work really late. I work a lot of hours. Last week I worked maybe like 15 hours on one day, maybe more. I think I had one day where I worked 19 hours. So it's just going, and I've had multiple, like I kind of touched on, I've had multiple little jobs after college, and they're all the same way. So as your first year in a job, at least in my experience, it has been, you really have to hustle and you have to put in all the work, and that's all great. I'm a hard worker. I love to work hard, especially if I get to see a result. But yeah, it's been a lot because also, you know, you're adjusting to a new environment. Even though I have a lot of people I already knew moving back to my hometown, I also want to make new friends. And a lot of the friends that I was really close with while I was living here, actually living here back in the day, have obviously moved on and moved, and most of them have actually moved out of state. So, you know, not having a huge support system here other than my family, which obviously they're my biggest support system, but post-grad life is just difficult. You want to find friends, you want to have hobbies, you're like adjusting to a new place, but you're also so busy and so tired that, you know, it's just, everything feels a little bit impossible. So if you are a post-grad and you are feeling impossible, then you are not alone by any means. So, but what I'm doing, or what I have been doing, I guess, because I don't just want this to be like a don't graduate college, it's horrible video, is I have, you know, taken a lot of looks inside myself, a lot of inflection, and thought, okay, regardless of what everyone's going to think of if you do this, or regardless of what everyone's going to think of you if you do this, you know, you just have to do what you want to do and just be really proud of that, and just, you know, kind of say sorry to everyone else. You don't even have to say sorry. You shouldn't say sorry. But, you know, it's on you. Like, your happiness, your choice, what you're up to, totally up to you. And so I think that's a big adjustment as well to being like, in my situation especially, but being like an adult in the real world, is that everything is like up to you. My situation has been kind of difficult on me again, because as much as I want things to be up to me, they're not. And so, you know, there's only so many things I can control about the house I live in and what we're eating for meals, and I can control my breakfast and lunch, but my dinner, not so much. Just stuff like that, and general schedules, and, you know, I don't want to be up late and taking a shower late, and it feels just very much so like I did in college when having roommates and all of that, even though it's totally different because it's my family. But I hope that all makes sense. It's just difficult because you're gaining so much control in so many ways, but you're also losing so much control in so many ways. And that's just such a big adjustment, I guess, mentally, that I really had to get used to. Something I don't deal well with just in general is losing control. I'm not like a controlling person by any means, but I do get anxious a lot around like my environment, I guess. Like I do want to have, you know, a clean, nice room. I want to be in a routine. I love structure. I love routines. So just in that kind of sense for myself, not controlling of other people. I want to control things for myself. So that has just been difficult. Like, and I think regardless of if you move home or not, I think a big thing too is you gain so much control because now it's like you have your own money. You're expected to pay for things. You're an adult. Like people, it's not even a question of like, if you're an adult, you're an adult. If you have a bachelor's degree. So you're gaining a lot of control in a lot of ways, but you're also losing so much because you lose a lot of freedom. And that sounds so sad because I think you gain a lot of freedom. It just depends on your outlook, and that's what I'm trying to share, is that I viewed it as losing a lot of freedom because I now had responsibilities I had to do. So like I had to have a job to get money, and like I had to there's just things you have to do. And like you have to do your own doctor's appointments, and you have to do all these own things, which I did do for myself in college. But it's just different. It just feels a lot different being like not in college because there's not a set out next step for you. So all of that negativity aside, or all of that experience, let's not say negativity because experiences are positive. Even if they're negative in nature, they give you a positive outcome if you choose to let them give you a positive outcome. So, I think a lot of it has to do with have some moments to yourself each day or each year, each month, whatever works for you, each week, and really refocus yourself because it is so easy to get caught up in what you feel like you need to be doing because nobody's telling you what you need to be doing, but you will feel like there's things that you need to be doing. Like you need to go get a 9-to-5, you need to do this, you need, all of that. You need to live on your own, like just things that kind of socially you feel the need to be doing. It's easy to get lost in all of that. It's really easy to lose sight of like what you actually want to be doing when you have a lot of things you feel like you need to be doing and that they're not things that you want to be doing. So what I do, me and my fiance, we do a couples retreat every year. So at the beginning of every year, so we just had ours, like, what was that, last week or the week before? So within the last 2 weeks, we had ours and we basically went over everything we want to do for the year. So we talked about careers, we talked about vacations, we talked about the wedding, we talked about savings goals, money, like where we want to be living, getting a dog, like all of that. So that's really crucial. I would highly recommend that for relationships because we're totally on the same page now. It's never like, we never now have to have like that if I've learned anything, let me go back. If I've learned anything from like a lot of my leadership roles and just experiences that I have had, it is that if you set a precedent, set things out before a conflict can even arise, you will see conflict so much less. And if you do see it, it's not as uncomfortable because it's like we addressed this already. Like we know that this is wrong what we did, or like we know, like the person will know that they messed up basically because you made it clear. And I'm not saying like set rules for your relationship by any means. I mean, totally up to you and your relationship. But what I am saying is like by setting those goals together, we can now look back, like say that, we have X number of saving goals and spending goals for every month and social goals and all of that. So say 1 month I decide to buy a new laptop and I go way over budget and all of that. Tyler can now come to me with, instead of being just like having a never-ending conversation that turns into an argument about spending that can be really toxic for a relationship, now we can say, hey, remember when we both agreed, like, we wanted to save up so we could go to Hawaii, or we wanted to save up so we could put a down payment on a house next year. Like, do we still want to do that? And it becomes more of a positive discussion than a negative one, because instead of punishing for not doing something, you're now making a positive, like, hey, if we continue to do this, then we maybe can't get that positive thing, or like the positive thing is a reward for sticking to what you want to do, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So I hope that all makes sense. But we do that as a couple, but I think it's crucial to also do that with yourself. And that's something that I definitely struggled with. I like to call it the low-hanging fruit debacle of, I would basically fall in, I would bloom where I was planted, but I was not guiding my own life in any way. So like with real estate, I really felt like I fell into that career, and I tried to make the most of it for myself, but it just was not. When I went and took a step back and looked at myself and asked myself, what do I want to be doing in 5 years? Do I want to be a realtor? Where do I see myself? I realized I was on the completely wrong career trajectory, path, everything for where my goals are. So I think personal, business goals, career goals, social goals, whatever, you need to set those for yourself and just like be very aware and remind yourself constantly, not maybe like every day, but keep like whatever you need to do for you. Remind yourself of what you're working towards, what you're trying to be, or else I do think that it is so easy to lose sight in all of that. So for me, since doing that has greatly helped my post-grad life. I have been so much more happy, leaving a job that I wasn't necessarily happy with, going to a job that I am happy with, taking more time to do things that I now know I want and need to be doing for what I want to accomplish in my free time. All of that has drastically made a difference in my happiness levels post-grad, especially now that Tyler has graduated, we are moving. I feel like everything is kind of falling into place, but it did take, for me, it took probably 6 months, not going to lie. It probably took 6 months to get to this place mentally of like, I'm happy where I'm at, I'm happy where I'm going, I feel confident on my plan, I feel confident on what I'm doing now. And I think another thing post-grad that's important to adjust to after college is the timeline of things. So things in college move very rapidly. You're only really in class each time for about, like, I don't know, maybe like a couple months, 3 months, 4 months at tops. So everything is super rapid. Like even organizations, like if you're getting involved, it's very rapid. It's very easy as well to like move up in a college organization. It's very easy to see your friends. Everything is very accessible, very easy. I think something I was not expecting quite as much was everything is so much, I didn't think it would impact me because I knew that it was coming in post-grad life, but something that has really impacted me is just the pace of things. Things are so much slower in post-grad life. They are, and I think a lot of my happiness that I have now and where I'm at has come from patience and trusting, where I'm at, because now I realize I've put myself back on the right path for what I want to be doing and where I want to go. And so that was crucial for me. But if you already feel like you're on the right path for where you want to be going, then I think it's just important to be patient in that pursuit of where you're going. It's not going to happen overnight. It might, but don't plan for that to happen overnight. In college, I think it puts in such a thing of every year is so monumental and every year you're doing so much. Whereas in post-grad life, it's very common at jobs to not get raises or to not get promotions for 4 or 5 years. Like that's very common. Or 3 years, or like even the idea of like committing to like, I'm going to work somewhere for a year, or I'm going to work somewhere for 2 years. It just seems like it's forever. in your head because you're so used to like the yearly schedule and everything is evolving so much between those years. And that disappears in a lot of ways when you leave school. So being patient in that pursuit of where you're going, being patient in where you're at, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. All of those things I think are just important to have and important to remind yourself of every day. And like I said, if you have goals, like my end goals are to be an entrepreneur. I really want to own my own business one day. And what that business is, I have lots of ideas. So I'm just kind of waiting for the right idea, the right time that presents itself. But for me, I think that's why it was extra crucial to have that don't lose sight of your goals step, because I realized that I didn't have a plan to get there. I didn't have a plan of like, okay, I'm going to do real estate full time for 2 years and make X number of dollars, and then I'll go off and do this. You know, that wasn't for me what like I needed to be doing to get where I want to go. So I think it's important to realize that. So if you have similar goals or you have ideals of what you want your life to be and at what certain point you want to reach that, I think it's important to go with the flow, but also have some structure behind that. I'm a very go with the flow kind of person, but Tyler is my fiance. His name is Tyler. He's the complete opposite of me. He's a very structured kind of person, which is actually funny because he's actually probably more easy. Well, like socially, I feel like he's a lot more flexible, a lot more easygoing than I am. But in our like how we live our lives in general, I'm a lot more like flexible, easygoing, like don't set a budget, kind of just, you know, see what happens kind of person. And he's a lot more structured and planned out. And so that's rubbed off on me, and I think I've rubbed off on him in that way. So I think that we've really helped each other both adjust to our new steps in life where we need to go, which is really, really awesome that I have him and have his support and can do the things that I'm doing because of him. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So let me, I guess, talk now. Oh, gonna be a good day, guys. Talk now about like some of where I'm at career-wise, because I know that I don't talk about this. I have that I have like a lot of things going, and that's basically all that anybody knows, because like I said, it's been something I've really been struggling with internally, mentally for myself. And so it's not something I've been wanting to like super share, like where I'm at, what I'm doing. But let me just kind of walk you through like my mindset on everything. So like you guys know, I do modeling and acting. I also have my real estate license, and I work in marketing, basically full time. So I do all of those things for a career. Now, what I get asked a lot is like, well, which one is your like main career? Like, what is your main goal? And that has been a lot of things I've been trying to figure out, because the thing is, modeling and acting has been something that has been in my life the longest. I started modeling and acting at Page Parks, which is where I'm signed in Houston, when I was, like 15. It was 2012. So yeah, I was 15 is when I started with them. And that's like honestly a dream. Every time I get to work for modeling, or I get to go on a casting or whatever, that is like my absolute, I adore it. I really, really do adore it, and I've been doing it for so long. Basically what I'm trying to say is I'm not ready to give that up at this point in my life. I'm not ready to fully go into a full, super serious desk job, corporate job at this point in my life, because I don't want to give that up. And what I mean by that, not sure what happened. My camera just shut off, But like I was saying, there's not necessarily things that I can be doing for modeling. Like, I keep my body in shape, I keep my skin nice, I keep my hair nice. All of that's like a given, but there's not things I could be doing per se that can progress me so much. Like, I can be doing photo shoots and all of that, but there's only so many photos you can take before, you know, if nobody's looking at them kind of thing. So that's kind of where I've been at with all of that. So I've just been trying to adjust to what I want to be doing and where I want to be going, and, you know, resetting that, because although I do think you think about those things in college, it's not like planned out. At least for me, it wasn't. It was like, okay, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to get a job. And then I decided that, okay, since I have my real estate license, like, I'm going to try to do that while I kind of wait for Tyler and see where he ends up, because, you know, that was flexible and I could do that in any city. And then he decided, you know, he found out he's going to be in Houston, so I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go to Houston, or I'm already in Houston, but I'm going to get a job now, but then also balancing, okay, but I also just got signed at a modeling agency, and I have this real estate stuff that I do realize I don't want to do full time, but I also don't want to give up either, like, so there's a lot of, like, trying to have my cake and eat it too. You know, like, I have these things that I have opportunities for that do come up, but they're not consistent. And so, but I also, like, don't want to give those up. Like, I don't want to give up the opportunity to pursue them when they do come up, but I also don't want to, like, fully dive into either of them. So that's kind of where I've been at mentally and career-wise. So for right now, I'm just trying to remind myself to stay patient, to enjoy where I'm at, to not feel like I'm in a hurry anywhere, because post-grad life is a marathon, not a sprint, and I've had to learn that. For me, college was a ginormous sprint. It was 100% a 100-meter dash. It was like, how much stuff can I do? How, you know, how many positions can I have? How many good grades can I make? Like, how many people can I be friends with? Like, and I didn't count all of that, but, you know, you get the gist. It was a sprint. I was constantly busy. I, you know, had a lot of things going on, and I loved that. But it's a lot different now. And I think the thing that's different for me is, like, kind of like I was saying, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control, or things that are outside your control and or are harder to obtain, that help fuel that constantly go, go, go mentality, that are so easy in college, because it's really easy in college. It really is, to get involved and to make that hustle, like, happen, basically, because you always have something to study for. You always have a group you could be joining. You always have extra things you could be doing to make XYZ better. But post-grad, it's just difficult, because if you say you're at a normal 9 to 5, there's only so much you can do to get a raise. There's only so many raises you can get. There's only, you know, so it's, and at that, and all of those things that are still obtainable to you are still a lot slower. So I think post-grad is just take a breath, especially if you were a sprinter in college. Take a breath and enjoy the marathon, because it is a marathon. Even with the entrepreneur stuff that I'm trying to do, a lot of that, I'm a very hard worker. Like, I will work all day, every day. I do not care. I love to work, a workaholic. But the thing is, even when I'm working on those things I do enjoy, and, like, I do feel like I could really sprint at again, it's hard, because you have to wait for people to buy into your idea, and, like, that takes time, and people to respond to your emails, and that takes time. It's just, everything is set up to take more time outside of the college realm. In college, it was, like I said, very obtainable, very easy to get all of those things at a pretty easy proximity, close proximity. Oh, pardon me, hiccuping this morning. So I guess if you're watching this and you're still in college, enjoy that. Take that all in, because it is wonderful, and it does give you a wonderful work ethic for the real world that I do think makes you stand out. Like, everywhere I've been, I'm such a hard worker. I do think that it helps, but just I'm not trying to say stop working hard. That's not what I'm trying to say, I guess is what I'm getting back to. What I'm trying to say is adjust your mental state, adjust your expectations, adjust your timeline for goals to what's obtainable in the real world. And that's all that I'm trying to say. Still work hard, still, if promotions usually happen in 3 years, try to get one in 2 or a year. If, that's just what I'm trying to say. If companies typically make XYZ in a year and you have a company, try to double that. There's still ways that you can speed it along, but it's definitely a lot slower. So just being patient, enjoying where you're at. I said, I kind of talked about how I struggle with anxiety sometimes. That's a whole other story about how I've gotten over that without medication or anything, and it's not yoga. Basically, I'll talk about that in another video, but how I've gotten over all that anxiety, a lot of that has been mental state. A lot of it was, medications and stuff, but that I was on and now I'm off. So not that I'm not on any medication now, which has really helped me. But what am I trying to say? A lot of it is like taking a moment and reminding yourself, because I am very much so the type of person that wants to go, and gets really focused, even getting focused on goals for the future. You can't be so focused on it. It needs to be an overarching goal and reminder to yourself of that what you're doing today is worth it to you, and what you're doing today is productive, and what you're doing today is helping you accomplish what you really want for yourself. And those, just looking at every day as a little piece to a big puzzle. But you can't lose sight of that little piece of that big puzzle needs to be in good shape, and it needs to be, the puzzle analogy is gone. Basically, even though you have these big goals and all these things you want to see happen for yourself, it's so important that you also enjoy the moment that you're living in. Because a big thing I tell myself is I take a deep breath if I'm feeling anxious or antsy or whatever, and I tell myself, this is life. And I know I put this on my Instagram a few months ago, but reminding yourself that the future is your life, the past was your life, but this moment you're in right now is your life. And you cannot be living for what is to come, because eventually, if you keep living for what's to come, you will never get there because you're not focusing on where you're at right now. So you need to make sure that, you're taking care of yourself as it is, and you don't lose sight of those goals if you have them, but don't make it to where, say, I want to lose 10 pounds, which I do not. I'm very thin, I realize. But say I want to lose 10 pounds, that's my goal. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be maybe a 6 month for you, maybe 6 months, maybe 2 months. It just depends. But say your goal is to do it in 6 months. That's a very reasonable goal, I think, for obtaining that. You can't look at yourself every single day and say you've been so good all week, and then you want to take a day off because you want to hang out with your mom, or you want to go shopping or whatever. You're not going to be able to exercise as much one day because you're sick or you have the flu. I think it's important to give yourself those things. Stay with your goal in mind. Stay really, strict with yourself. And so that you don't take advantage of that. You don't say, okay, well, every day now I'm going to just do 30 minutes instead of an hour of working out. No, but what I'm trying to say is, if that will make you so much happier that day, you need to assess where you're at to reaching your goal, and if you can afford to take a day off, or if you can afford to kind of forget about the goal for a day. And just remember that this is your life. And you're not set in stone to your goals either. So if you set a goal and then you realize, I don't want to reach that. I've gone off on a path that, although I thought I was going towards that goal, I no longer feel that would fulfill me. Then change it. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. So don't That's another big thing, is I felt very trapped by myself sometimes of, I set out like, this is what I'm doing, so I can't stray from that. And that's not the case. This is your life. Remember, this is your life. This is life. And you need to take control of it. So reset your goals. If long-term goals don't work for you, then do what works for you. But like, just knowing where you're at, having a lot of conversations with yourself, that is the most important thing and most valuable piece of advice I can give you for life in general, from what I've learned so far, which, okay, I don't know if you want to take that advice, but I would say, yeah, that's the most important thing. Have a lot of conversations with yourself. I think social media has robbed us so much of that, because now we are so concerned about conversations with other people. And I think those are great. I think I enjoy social media, but it is important to also not get fixated on who you are on Instagram, who you are on Twitter, like your brand, like what is expected of you, because in reality, nobody cares. Like, they might for like a second, but really deep down, everyone is so self-involved, nobody cares. And I've come to realize that, especially, I realized this in college, but especially now, that nobody's gonna care, like at my wedding, if my color is mint green or sage green. Like, it's whatever brings me joy, and I need to have that conversation with myself internally of like, which one do I want? I do not need to be looking at, well, nobody ever does this color and this, all of that. It does not matter. It does not. So just refocusing your outlets of communication, I guess, and making sure that you make time for communication with yourself, and however that needs to happen. Because for me, it does involve talking, which is why I really enjoy YouTube, because I'm the type of person that I need to get it out. I need to verbalize where I'm at, how I'm feeling. So I talk it out with my mom, with my friends, with Tyler. Now I hope that I can do that with you guys. I'm that kind of person. So when I'm saying like, realize for yourself, sometimes that might mean talking to someone else about it until you realize like, this is what I want. And you will know. It will resonate with you. You will feel fulfilled if you are doing it. You will get excited if you're talking about it. So you will know where you're supposed to be going and what you're supposed to be doing and what you core deep down really want to be doing, because you'll have a reaction to it. So I think it's an important thing to do for post-grad. It's an important thing to do just in general in your life, wherever you're at whatever stage you're at in life. Be patient, take a breath, talk to yourself, love yourself, listen to yourself. Like, it's kind of crazy that we live in a society where everyone is so self-involved, yet we're all listening to everyone else. And that's not how it should be. Like, if you want to be living life for you, like you're claiming to, then live life for you. And I think it's funny too, because it's very apparent when people do live for themselves. It really is. Like, because it sticks out so much. And yeah. I'm trying to live for myself and on, my journey and for where I want to be. And it's still, I'm not saying I've achieved this goal. I'm still going to struggle, I'm sure. But it is something that I need to remind myself of and don't lose sight of. Like, I need to remember my goals, but also balance that with where I'm at and talking it through and making sure that, I'm happy and fulfilled. I know that's such a millennial, I think I'm a Gen Z or whatever, but it's such our 20s, in their 20s basically, people thing to say of oh, I need to feel fulfilled, because people before us, generations before us, did not feel that way. They really did not. They would just do whatever to get ahead. They would do, of course there's exceptions, but for the most part, I do think that the generations are just so different in how we look at things. I would rather personally, just so you guys can kind of gather some info on me, my outlooks on everything, I would personally rather make $20,000 a year and be so happy and fulfilled in my life than make $60,000 a year doing something I hate. So that is where I'm at, which I think can be difficult because a lot of the times as well, especially with some of the careers I've chosen, but in general, we put a lot of our self-worth and our self-value back on how much we make or how many, you know, promotions we get, or just things that don't have anything to do with your self-worth or your self-value. It really doesn't. And so that's something as well that I definitely struggled with when I first graduated, for sure. Was adjusting my mindset, especially with real estate, of, you know, but I think also just in general being an entrepreneur, or wanting to be an entrepreneur, wanting to have savings goals, all of that, it all kind of correlates into the same thing of, what am I trying to say? Oh, things being a marathon and not a sprint. That is where we're at. It is a marathon. So saving up is a marathon. Even if you do have a consistent salary, paying off your bills, it doesn't have to be all in one. So just having some patience with yourself, some patience with your life and where you're at, I think is really, really important. I'm trying to decide if I want to do some eyeliner on my waterline. I don't know, I kind of think I just like it like this. So I'm going to spritz my face. That's not the one. I have two of them because this one is empty, which means I really love it. So I'm going to spritz my face, and then I might do my hair off camera. I'm not sure. I usually like to leave it natural just because I like it to be healthy, especially for modeling stuff. If I ever have hair stuff, it's just really nice that it's healthy and not ruined from like heat unnecessarily. So we'll see what I end up doing, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that this was not totally boring. And if you listen to this while you get ready, then definitely let me know down below. Thank you all so much for 100 subscribers. I have a special video coming for that in a few days, but it's basically just going to be super goofy, so prepare yourself. But I hope that this rambling mess kind of made sense to you. Like I said, I do want to make this a series where I do this very consistently and I talk about different topics that I think are interesting or that you might find interesting. So if you have like something you want me to specifically talk about, then definitely let me know on my socials or down below, whichever works best for you. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a